Hi, my name is Emma Strong, and for my final presentation, I'm going to be explaining the suppression or control of a population through the use of technology in modern-day North Korea. Understanding what everyday life is considered in North Korea is a challenge. In North Korea, 10% of the population is upper class, 10% of the population is middle class, and the other 80% of the population is considered poor. This is similar to the ratios found in Oceania, which include the inner party members, the outer party members, and the proles. The North Korean government has enforced many harsh laws on their citizens, allowing their citizens to have little to no freedom. But throughout all of this everyday suppression, one of the main ways that North Korea has continued to gain control over their population is through the use of technology. This is also seen in the novel 1984 by George Orwell. In this novel, the citizens of Oceania are cruelly instructed by their government to live their lives in a very strict way, allowing them to do very little, and everything they can do is dictated by the government while being watched constantly. This shows that the real-life scenarios of North Korea and the dystopian society of Oceania are both controlled through the use of technology by their own government. The North Korean government considers control over information to be a necessity in order for the survival of the regime. The Democratic People's Republic of North Korea is a closed state that restricts the movement of the population and does not permit communication with the outside world. The citizens are allowed to participate in very little activity. Possession of foreign media is a crime. Radios are hand-wired to only receive government media, which is biased and heavily corrupted for the North Korean government's sake. Select officials are permitted to travel internationally, but are monitored very closely. The citizens of North Korea are in the understanding that their spouses, children, and family members must face the consequences for their actions abroad. North Korea has absolute and systematic control over all forms of telecommunications. It actively spies on its citizens using mass surveillance program and reduces the information North Korea is given about their own country by censoring the media and filtering internet sites that do not comply with the government's propaganda. Facial recognition is being actively used in North Korea through the use of technological devices. With the use of facial recognition, the government will be able to track its citizens wherever they go. New video surveillance networks along the country's northern border are designed to make smuggling difficult. In the novel 1984 by George Orwell, the government of Oceania, Big Brother, had immense control over the citizens of Oceania. How did they do this? They did this through the use of telescreens. Telescreens are a TV that have hidden cameras in them. This allowed the government to constantly watch the citizens in their own homes and monitor their actions. The telescreen also limited what the citizens were allowed to watch. In Oceania, Big Brother makes sure that not one person is unsupervised. To do this, he uses telescreens. Similar to how North Korea is using surveillance, the telescreens have cameras and microphones hidden in them to watch their citizens in all times and make sure that they don't dare say one bad thing about their government. In the novel, it explains, the telescreens received and transmitted simultaneously. Any sound that Winston made above the level of a very low whisper would be picked up by it. Moreover, as long as he remained within the field of vision, which the metal plaque commanded, he could be seen as well as heard. There was, of course, no way of knowing whether you were being watched at any given moment, how often, or on what system the thought police plugged in on any individual guesswork. It was even conceivable that they watched everybody all the time, but at any rate they could plug in your wire whenever they wanted to. You had to did live, from habit that became instinct, and the assumption that every sound you made was overheard, and, except in darkness, every movement scrutinized. Later in the book it read, "We are the dead," he said. "We are the dead," echoed Julia dutifully. "You are the dead," said an iron voice behind them. They sprang apart. Winston's entrails seemed to have turned into ice. He could see the white all around the irises of Julia's eyes. Her face had turned a milky yellow. The smear of rouge that was still on each cheekbone stood out sharply, almost as though unconnected to the skin beneath. "You are the dead," repeated the iron voice. "It was behind the picture," breathed Julia. "It was behind the picture," said the voice. "Remain exactly where you are. Make no movement until you are ordered." It was starting. It was starting at last. They could do nothing except stand gazing into one another's eyes. to run for life, to get out of the house before it was too late. No such thought occurred to them. Unthinkable to disobey the iron voice from the wall. There was a snap, as though a catch had been turned back, and the crash of breaking glass. The picture had fallen to the floor, uncovering the telescreen behind it. "Now they can see us," said Juliet. "Now we can see you," said the voice. "Stand out in the middle of the room. Stand back to back. Clasp your hands behind your heads. Do not touch one another." In the end, the novel 1984 by George Orwell has made many connections to the real world regarding suppression among its citizens, but the most important being control through surveillance of the population with the use of technology. Books like 1984 provide education of government's control on us, allowing us to open our eyes a bit wider and help us make sure that we are all aware of what the government does. Thank you for listening to my presentation about population control through the use of technology in North Korea.